Hey guys, what is up? This is ATFFBall back with a new series. This one is called Case for the Super Bowl. So in this series, I'm going to be taking each team individually and telling how they can make it to the Super Bowl. So all the stuff I'm saying, I might not necessarily agree with just because I'm not saying that this is stuff that will happen. I'm just trying to pave out this is how they could win the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm going to be giving every team's chance for that and just kind of giving a case for each team. This episode, the first one, will be for the Miami Dolphins. So let's get into it. So first off, the first thing that the Dolphins need to do is they need to get a quarterback. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, he was fine this past year, but if they really want to take it to this next level, they got to go out and get someone. And the guy I think for them, like I said, this isn't necessarily who I think they're going to take because I think they will take Justin Herbert, but I think they should take Tua Tagovailoa. So let's say they get Tua Tagovailoa, Ryan Fitzpatrick plays the first couple games, maybe they go 0-2, but then Tua can step in and help them out the rest of the way. So that's going to be their pick number 5. They've also got 2 more first-round picks. At number 18, let's get them someone to help back up Tua Tagovailoa, someone to help him on the offensive line. And I think that guy, if he falls, so I know this isn't going to sound likely, but I have them at Mekhi Becton right here for their Super Bowl. If they're going to get a Super Bowl, they need someone to drop. And Mekhi Becton, I've been seeing reports that teams are getting a little less interested because they've seen some concerns with his blocking. And I agree with these reports, honestly, because I do think he is a tier below Tristan Wirfs and Jedrick Wills. So if he can fall, though, down to 18, that is an absolute steal for the Dolphins, and it's another step on the way to their Super Bowl. For the final pick in the first round of the draft, at number 26, I'm going to have him taking Xavier McKinney to help out their defense. Now, since I got rid of Minkah Fitzpatrick, which I still don't agree with that pick, that trade away, to be honest, I think that they should have held on to him for the year because, let's be honest, Minkah Fitzpatrick is one of the best free safeties in the league, probably the best young free safety in the league. So that was a bad trade on their part, but now they've got to forget the past and just, even though this isn't going to be as good as Minkah Fitzpatrick, so it's kind of a wasted trade, they got to just take the safety here. They need a safety. And Xavier McKinney can really fill that hole for them. This is a huge pick for them because if Xavier McKinney even comes up with a couple big plays, those are game changers when you pick off the ball. It could be 7 points away from the other team and 7 points for your team if your team scores. So it's like there's a 14-point swing right there. So I think people don't realize how big an interception is to the game because after getting a touchdown after interception, you're not just scoring 7 points. You're taking away points from them that they would have gotten and also adding points to you. So it's a huge swing when you get an interception. So if they can get Xavier McKinney, and this is exactly what I've said before, I think that the safety is possibly the most important position on defense. Now, I know you could argue defensive end, you could argue middle linebacker, and there's totally valid arguments for those. That being said, I do think a free safety is the most important part of your defense because if things get past him, they're gone to the house. They're going to the house. So you need a good free safety to back up your defense, and I think Xavier McKinney is exactly that for them. He can play both safeties, really, but I think free safety is where they should put him just because they need someone to just make sure no big plays go over the top for them. And now having Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, that's huge. Now let's look at their team now. So they have 2 great cornerbacks, Xavier Howard, and if you weren't following free agency, they acquired Byron Jones. Now that is huge. Now also with this draft, we've filled quarterback needs, we got them a good offensive lineman, and we filled their safety need. Now that being said, they still have holes. They could use a couple more offensive linemen. Wide receivers, I know Devontae Parker took a big step on Preston Williams is good, and then you also got Mike Gesicki at tight end, who's very good, but they could still get another wide receiver. That would help them out. Running back, Jordan Howard's pretty dang good. I actually like that, but they could also use receiving back because they don't really have a receiving back. So there are definitely holes on the team, but already based on what we did, they are so much better off. They have a great linebacker core already in Raekwon McMillan and Jerome Baker. So now maybe they just need defensive line, maybe get a receiving back. So we'll get into those. So the Miami Dolphins, they have 2 first-round picks. They have one at 56, and then their other one is all the way towards the top of the second round at number 39. Now, with their 39th pick, I think they can go out, and let's hope he drops here for them, for their sake. Solomon Kinley, an offensive guard out of Georgia. Now you filled offensive tackle. You got an offensive guard who can he's going to help out your team right away because Dolphins, let's be honest, their offensive line was the worst in the league last year. So just putting in an offensive lineman right here, that would help them out a lot. And so even if he's not going to be the best from day one, he's someone. The guys who they have on their team right now aren't even viable starters, honestly. Now for the 56th pick in the draft, they're going to take Raekwon Davis, a defensive tackle out of Alabama. So the Dolphins also, they struggled everywhere on defense last year, but their main struggle was runs up the middle. And how do you stop runs up the middle? With a big defensive tackle like Raekwon Davis. Raekwon Davis is a perfect balance of he's a good run stopper with the upside of possibly getting to the quarterback. Now, he's not going to be the best at getting to the quarterback, but that's not what they need really right now. Because they have a strong secondary, give them time to throw. They have good coverage linebackers, good secondary. You had Xavier McKinney. They've got a lot of good pieces there. Now we just got to give them someone to stop the run, and that's what Raekwon Davis is for them in the late second round. Next up, with some of the remaining money that the Dolphins do have, they're going to go out and get a player that I've grown up watching, Everson Griffen. Now, Everson Griffen, if you haven't been following, he got cut by the Vikings because the Vikings need to save money because, they had to cut Linval Joseph as well because they need money just to re-sign some of their other players. So, because of that, Everson Griffen is up for grabs right now. Now, there have been reports that he said he does not like the offers he's been getting, and it sounds like Dolphins are one of those teams that are interested in him. But the fact that teams aren't upping the bar to get him, eventually he's probably going to come around to his senses and realize he's not worth as much as he used to because he's about 34 years old. Now, for this, like we said, they're trying to win the Super Bowl right now for this. We're trying to show what the Dolphins can do to win the Super Bowl this year. So it doesn't matter that Everson Griffen's old. It just matters how good he is right now. And last year, he still played some of his best football. So they get him. Now look at this. Most of their team is pretty solid now, missing just a couple pieces, and they're on their way to be a good team. Now we talked a little bit about that receiving core, so let's go get them another receiver. And I think the perfect fit for them. What are they lacking, right? Devontae Parker, he's great at contested catches. He goes up and just gets the ball. But who could they really use? A speedy receiver. Lucky for them, guess who's in free agency? Taylor Gabriel. Super fast receiver. Not always the most consistent, but he's super fast nonetheless. And speed makes them use their faster corners to cover him, or else he's just going to beat them, is the thing. So that's going to take some pressure off Devontae Parker. With Preston Williams healthy, that receiving core is now set. Taylor Gabriel, I don't think he'll do too much on that offense, but I do think he will help out Devontae Parker so that Devontae Parker doesn't have to be double covered. And Preston Williams, he helps out too. Preston Williams, I think he was really underrated this past year because, yes, he might not have been the flashiest, but he was just consistent this year. He was getting like 50 yards a game, and that's all you want from your wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3, depending on if they get someone else. All right, now we talked about that offensive line. Let's go get them another offensive lineman. So last year, pretty much all 5 of their offensive linemen sucked. So yeah, we got them 2, but let's go get them another one. And I think a good idea is to bring in a veteran. So a veteran that's in free agency right now is Josh Klein. He's 30 years old. He's a guard. They could use a guard. He played fine with the Vikings last year. He was their second best offensive lineman, probably. According to PFF, he was. So I think that's a good idea for them to go out and get him because he got cut because of money, and I think he'll sign a cheaper contract than what he was under last year. And, I just think having a veteran to train in those 2 younger guys that I projected to be drafting would be a good idea. Plus, he's a safe floor. Those veteran offensive linemen, he doesn't have a high ceiling because you're not going to improve that much at 30 years old. I mean, if anything, you're going to regress at 30 years old. So he's got a low ceiling, but a high floor. So that's exactly what you want when your offensive line has been bad. You just want someone who can provide a safe floor just so that your offensive line isn't ridiculous bad. Now, after those moves, their offensive line won't be great still, but it'll be just a little bit below average. And the thing is, last year, their offensive line was the worst. So if they can do that, that's a huge move because they can't have a bad offensive line and have Tua Tagovailoa because he's going to get injured if they even get sacked. You can't get sacked even. You don't even want to get sacked 20 times when you have Tua Tagovailoa throughout the season. So they've got to be careful with Tua, and I think the best way to do that is just beef up the O-line. So that's how they're going to spend most of the rest of their money. Now, we talked about them wanting to get a running back who can receive. And guess who's out in free agency right now? Chris Thompson. Now, I know he's getting older, but the thing is, he can still, he hasn't had too many rough injuries in his career. He has had injuries, don't get me wrong, but I think he can still play. And the Redskins aren't really utilizing him, so my guess is they're not really going to care that much to re-sign him. And what better team to pick him up than the Miami Dolphins? Now, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not saying I think this is going to happen, but this is how they're going to go to the Super Bowl. They need a receiving back. Jordan Howard, good running back. Always found him underrated, but the thing is, he can't catch well. I'll admit that as much as I like him as a running back, he really can't catch well. So you need to go out and get someone like Chris Thompson who can take that duty off of him. And let's be honest, none of the other Dolphins running backs are good enough to do that. So let's go out and get them Chris Thompson to a short one-year deal. Now, just a couple quick things that also I think that they have to decide on this offseason is, first off, I think you got to just let Rashad Jones go. That's how they're going to keep this money to get these other players. And if they're replacing him in the draft, you don't really need him. He hasn't been great. I don't think they will re-sign him, but yeah, just definitely that for sure. Don't re-sign him. And also, so third round, I think they could get someone to back up the safeties, and maybe if he plays well enough, he can play alongside Xavier McKinney. But for third round, I think they just get a depth piece like that. Fourth round, maybe you'll get another offensive lineman, maybe he's sparse or something. Just fill in a couple pieces here and there, and look at our team now. All right, we're just gonna start top to bottom. Quarterback now, we have Tua Tagovailoa. Running backs, we got Jordan Howard, and a receiving back in Chris Thompson. Now on the offensive line, we've added Josh Klein, a guard, and 2 offensive tackles in the draft, Mekhi Becton, and why am I blanking on his name right now? Guy out of Alabama. Yeah, no, I can't remember his name right now, but we got them those 2. Now, for receiving, we got them a fast receiver in Taylor Gabriel to play alongside Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. That's a deadly combo. That's a deadly combo of 3. Now, for tight end, they're good on tight end with Mike Gesicki, right? And now we move on to the defense. On defense, you've got great linebackers already. On the line, we added a guy in the draft, and we've got Everson Griffin in there now. That's pretty dang good defensive line. Cornerbacks, we already got Xavier Howard. You got Byron Jones. And in the safety, we're having Xavier McKinney, adding someone in the draft, 3rd or 4th round to back him up. This team is looking pretty good at this point. At this point, they are a serious Super Bowl contender if they make these moves. Now, to make it to the Super Bowl, though, they're going to need to really make sure that they do the best of their abilities to develop Tua Tagovailoa, because it's not often that a rookie quarterback goes to the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes almost did in his first year. I know he wasn't a rookie, but it was his first year actually playing. And so they're going to have to develop Tua Tagovailoa pretty fast. And just for the sake of an argument for them going to the Super Bowl, Ryan Fitzpatrick might be one of the best quarterbacks to help a young quarterback develop, because yes, you could say that he's not always the best quarterback, but that's not on his intelligence. Ryan Fitzpatrick is possibly the most intelligent football player in the league right now. I know you might find that hard to believe, but Harvard graduate, scored higher on the Wonderlic test, which is a test for their football intelligence, than any other player in the league right now. He was 1 point away from a perfect score. He is insanely smart. He knows the game as good as anyone. So even if he might not be the best quarterback, he will be a great backup for Tua Tagovailoa just to teach him how to play the game better. So that might be deadly. And then you also got Brian Flores as the head coach. Brian Flores, he's a good head coach, good defensive mind, worked with Bill Belichick for a couple years. What more could you want right there? I mean, that team, when you look at it with all these players on it now, that's a solid team. They just need to draft well, do well in the free agency, and this team is ready to go win a Super Bowl.